This week in games, Sonic's creator is going to jail, Redfall devs wish Microsoft had just canceled the game, and we review Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 150. I'm your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello, everyone, fellow watchers of the channel, such as myself, because I watch the channel. How are you guys doing?
Oh, do you now? You watch a lot of that channel now?
Not a lot. I already do it, Tavin. I don't want to spend more time watching it.
Right. Connor, how's your week been, friend?
It's been good. It's been good not having as much work as usual. I was able to finally get back into my schedule. Though
Very
I wasn't
nice.
wasn't expecting it, but I got it, so I'm happier now. More well rested.
That's good. That's very good, my friend. I am tired. I feel like I'm tired all the time, and I feel like I haven't been able to edit that much this last week, and I'm sorry about that. The drip of content has been a little slow this week, but we're hoping to here soon get it working back up, and we'll probably have a nice content drip happening over on the TikToks and the YouTubes going on over there. But ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Every week, me and Connor come to you and bring you the new news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Make sure to drop down in the comments your own topics and pennies you'd like to drop in for next week, and make sure you watch us live over at twitch.tv/2pennygames, where at Sunday, 4 o'clock, we go live with all of our shows and record them for your viewing pleasure. You can talk to us in the live feed and all of that. And this show comes to you every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. And you can find links in the description for our TikTok, for our Twitters, and our personal Twitters profiles, so make sure you click on all of that right there. But let us delay no longer. We've got some news to get through, starting with my first topic of the day. Redfall devs reportedly hoped it would be canceled or rebooted by Microsoft. This is coming to you from VGC News by Tom Ivan. A new report claims to shed light on the circumstances that resulted in Redfall's disappointing release last month. Following several delays, the first major Xbox exclusive from Bethesda released with a number of technical issues and generally reviewed poorly, garnering aggregate scores of 56 and 54 on Xbox X and S and PC, respectively, on Metacritic. Redfall is a multiplayer loot shooter, a genre that's new to the creator of Arcane Studios, which is best known for its critically acclaimed single-player immersive sims like Dishonored and Prey. According to a new Bloomberg report, the game's development was hampered by a lack of clear direction, a high turnover of staff, and insignificant resources for what was billed as a AAA game. The report, which is based on the accounts of over a dozen anonymous sources who worked on the title, said the project started development in 2018 after being pitched to staff as a multiplayer Arcane game. Some members reportedly found the pitch confusing and felt unsure that the sort of gameplay Arcane was known for would translate well to a co-op setting. The game was reportedly suffering because its development team was continually understaffed, with Arcane's Austin office employing fewer than 100 people and insufficient outsourcing supported offered by Bethesda. Many experienced developers who weren't interested in making a multiplayer game reportedly left the studio, with almost 3/4 of the Austin staff who worked on 2017's Prey said to have departed Arcane by the time Redfall was finished. Arcane is said to have experienced difficulties filling vacancies, with lower than average salaries, its Texas location, and the desire of prospective employees to work on a single-player immersive sims viewed as contributing factors. When development of the game started, Bethesda's then parent company ZeniMax was reportedly pushing its studios to develop live service titles. And, according to Bloomberg, Redfall had a significant microtransaction plan in place for 3 years before it was scrapped in 2021. That same year, Microsoft acquired ZeniMax for a $7.5 billion deal, and some Arcane staff reportedly hoped the Xbox maker might cancel Redfall or reboot it as a single-player game. However, Microsoft took something of a hands-off approach to Bethesda's game development studios, as Xbox Phil Spencer acknowledged in a recent Kinda Funny Games interview. Quote, "We didn't do a good job on engaging Arcane Austin to really help them understand what it meant to be part of Xbox and part of first party, and use some of our internal resources to help them move along that journey faster," he said. Quote, we left them to work on the game. They're a very talented team. I love that team, and I still do, and I will totally bet on them to do another great game, end quote. So Connor, Arcane didn't want to make it. They weren't too fond on it. They were hoping it wasn't gonna be committed to, but it was. Xbox, I think, took the approach of like, let's let them finish what they were doing, and then we'll step in and guide them on the path next time. And communication was not clear on both sides that, hey, we don't want to do this game. We don't think it'll be good, and it's not shaping up to be great. So can we do something else? Like, that just never happened, and Xbox, never looked close enough at the game. Just a whole mishandling of management that just left us with a subpar game, especially come from one of the industry's best.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised, because I would think when Redfall came out and didn't do all that well, that Microsoft had some kind of hand in it causing it to be that way. But it seems like this was kind of just doomed from the start and shouldn't have been made at all. Because the developers didn't want it, players obviously didn't really like the final product, and they didn't want it. It just seems like a waste of the talent, and clearly they thought so as well. It's not something I would usually expect from just Arcane on their own screwing up, but sometimes that happens.
You know what? It's a tricky business, and ZeniMax was clearly trying to figure out how to adapt to the era that we're in, and I don't think they went about it the best way here. And unfortunately, Arcane, and now through how long game development takes, now Microsoft is left holding the ball, and they don't know what to do with it either, and so they dropped the ball on this one. It sucks, but I don't think it truly affects Arcane's legacy in any way. I don't think anyone is really going to hold this one against them, and I don't think anyone's going to hold it against Xbox either. If I'm an Arcane fan, and big corporation goes and buys my favorite dev studio team, and they're already in the process of making something. From the fan perspective, I go, well, Xbox, don't come in and change everything and be the micromanaging whatever. Let the artists be the artists. And it turns out that's what they were. That's what was happening to them. And Xbox probably should have stepped in and course corrected. But hindsight's 2020, right? Like you just can't predict these things 100% of the time. So unfortunately, we left Arcane Austin in a weaker place than it was before, and hopefully this means that they'll be able to turn it around next time, get the appropriate staff, get the appropriate resources, get the appropriate game and game design that they are known for in order to sort of make do on what we know as an Arcane Studios game.
It seems to be kind of an issue with the games as service model, because it makes a lot of money. So a lot of these the corpos in companies like ZeniMax see it and say, oh, well, we have some kind of money that can be made, and they push it onto the developers, though Arcane should have just stayed as a single-player experience game studio. At least right now. They obviously weren't ready or willing to jump onto that multiplayer form, and much less a live service format. And this is just one of those pitfalls, like you said. It's the name of the business, but hopefully they learn to not do this in the future. Maybe just stick to what they know.
Yeah, again, I mean,
what they're good at.
We've been having this evolving conversation for weeks, months, years now of what is this live service model? How does it work? What is the best way to implement it? Should we be doing it at all? And I've always been the one that said, teams specialize in different things. We had a conversation last week about Bungie stepping in and saying, yo, this Last of Us multiplayer game, like, I'm sure it's good, but it doesn't seem like it's going to hold attention the way that you want it to hold attention. You just need the right team for that type of model for it to work. A game like Bungie. It looks like Activision Blizzard has set themselves up really well for Diablo 4, which is coming out in a few days. And I think we're at, or is already out if you bought the special package. So I think it just depends on who's handling it. Do they have the time, the prep time in order to get towards it? And like, are they being managed correctly in order to keep the content coming at a good pace? It really just comes down to management and having the right team. And Arcane just wasn't the right team for this. They are the right team for games like Dishonored and Prey and Deathloop. You know, those are great games, and it's clear that there was a lot of passion and love in those games. And I'm sure there was still a lot of passion and love in Redfall. It's just that team was not equipped to make a game like this.
Yeah, and I hope this doesn't. And obviously, you said earlier that it's not going to be a mark on the legacy of games that they've created, and I agree with that. But what I'm hopeful that this doesn't start is a kind of a downgrading of the quality of Arcane's games, because now a bunch of people have left the studio who had originally made all the great games that we know and love. And, you know, game developers generally know what they're doing, so they can make a new, you know, the next game be just as good as Arcane's past games have been. But unfortunately, now there's that little bit of possibility that's entered into the conversation of what is Arcane's next game going to look like now that they've lost some of the people that made those original games so great. Mm-hmm. You know, I have confidence that they'll make something good, whatever that might be, but you know, a little bit of a worry, a little bit of a doubt, hint of doubt that hopefully doesn't grow bigger.
And I think that's sort of like the thing about sort of the machine that is the games industry as it is. And that's why I expect that's why some of these video games that we get that are announced years ahead of time and probably shouldn't be, they should probably be waiting on. Those announcements are also like lures for hiring talent. Like they say, hey, we're over here, we're going to go make a space game like this, or we're gonna go make a fantasy game like this. We're making a fighting game over here. Hey, if you want to, you know, make the next Mortal Kombat, hey, come over here. You know, we're making Mortal Kombat over here. And so I think Redfall was supposed to be like that, but unfortunately the messenger was wrong, where everybody hears Arcane and they go, oh yeah, single player sim games, you know, heavy on stealth, heavy on messing with mechanics and sandbox type mechanics and so forth. Great, can't wait. Single player, can't wait. And then they come out and say, hey, we're actually doing Redfall, and all of the people who were looking at Arcane go, ooh, that's not what I want to do right now. Okay, let me go find somewhere else to bring my talents. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but you know, I'm sure the next time Arcane announces a game, they're gonna be like, hey, we're doing this again, and it's gonna bring everybody right back.
Let's hope it does. I have faith in them.
I do too. I'm more than positive the next Arcane game is going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to play it. Speaking of can't wait to play it, Connor, or maybe not, let's move on to our second topic of the day, my second penny. MetaQuest 3 has been announced. This is a Polygon article that we are pulling. Always the VR enthusiast, Connor Elliott.
I love them. I love VR. I play it all the time.
Here we go. Meta announces Quest 3 VR headset. This is from Polygon by Cameron Faulkner. After several leaks and rumors, MetaQuest 3's virtual reality and mixed reality headset has been officially announced. Meta revealed the Quest 3 ahead of Thursday's Meta Gaming Showcase, where it will likely debut several new games. The Quest 3 will cost $499.99 and come with 128 gigabytes of storage, and has a fall 2023 release window. The company says it will go into more detail on the headset during Meta Connect on September 27th. Meta didn't provide hard specs for Quest 3, but promised, quote, higher resolution, stronger performance, breakthrough meta reality technology, and a slimmer, more comfortable form factor for its next-gen headset. Meta says it has also, quote, completely redesigned Quest 3's Touch Plus controllers with a more streamlined and ergonomic form factor. The Quest 3 is the successor to the Quest 2 that launched in 2020, which has become the most successful and longest supported headset on the market. Like the Quest 2, the Quest 3 is a wire-free headset that doesn't require a fast PC to use. The Quest 3 will work with the entire Quest 2 catalog, and Meta promises that it will deliver twice the graphical performance of the Quest 2 with higher resolution displays and thinner optics. Unlike the Quest Pro, which can track your face to make your cartoony avatar more convincing in the metaverse, the Quest 3's features don't seem to be leaps and bounds above the Quest 2. However, its pass-through mode has gotten some improvements, with high-fidelity color pass-through, which will let you play augmented reality games like Demio that utilize the Quest 3's tracking cameras. The Quest 3 also includes redesigned Touch Plus controllers with advancements in haptics borrowed from the controllers that ship with the pricier Quest Pro. Meta will continue to sell the Quest 2, albeit at a lower starting price of $299.99 for the 128GB model starting on June 4th, and $349.99 for the 256GB model. It also announced that an upcoming software update for the headset will increase CPU and GPU performance for the 2020 headset.
Well,
cool.
Yeah. I mean, this is instantly more marketable than the PS VR 2, I think, ever was, because Meta 2 actually has a pretty good track record. And it doesn't require a $500 PS5 to play with a $500 headset. Obviously, this price is pretty steep, but at least you need a PC, which can be used for a variety of other purposes. So it seems way easier of a sell. But then again, neither you or me have much experience with VR, because neither of us have one. Mm-hmm. And I don't intend to buy one. Obviously, you've always had the issue of just space being the problem rather than the actual device itself. So, I have no doubt that as long as it's just an upgraded version of the Quest 2, it'll do well enough. But I don't really expect, at least right now, from what we know, especially since it's only announced, that it'll be this big, revolutionary new technology in the VR sphere. It just seems like the next thing that's going to be better than the last one, but still VR as we know it.
Yeah, I think Meta's approach to this is treat it like iPhones. Every couple of years, we're going to put out a headset. It's going to lower the price of the last version. It's going to be a little bit better than the last version. Work for your computer a little bit better. The controllers will be a little bit better. The storage is going to be good. Just small steps that will, 10 years will pass and we'll look back and be like, oh, we've made leaps and bounds. It's just, you don't see it because every version that comes out is just a little bit better than before. Totally cool. I think the price is affordable. Obviously $500, not anything to be like, oh, easy. Like, that's still a good amount of money. But it doesn't also come with another $500 console is really where I'm going with that. And I think it being backwards compatible, it being they're just making it as easy to buy into the medium as possible, which I think is a great way to do it, as opposed to PlayStation VR 2 doesn't have everything the PlayStation VR 1 had, limited exclusivity windows, it's pricey, and it requires the purchase of a PlayStation 5, which you may or may not have because of the shortage and yada, 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 maybe, XYZ reason. Or, hey, your computer that you've been using for the last 10 years and probably needs an upgrade can still work with this. Cool. That works,
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. Excited is probably not the proper word to use, but most interested in the fact that they are lowering the price of the original model, just making it a little bit more accessible to get into the Quest fan base, I guess you can call it, if you have any interest in that sort of stuff. Which, obviously the people that are really into VR are excited for the Quest 3, but now maybe the Quest 2 can get the more of the people who just said, it seems cool, but I don't really want to buy it. Now that it's lower, they say, Christmas is coming up, or I can buy it for someone's, anniversary gift or whatever people would buy a Quest 2 for. It just makes it a little bit more, marketable towards a wider audience now that it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in fact, I think this strategy will work quite well for them. And I think it'll actually see a rise in sales in Quest 2 just as much as sales in Quest 3, because it's like, oh, well, this is $200-$300. I'll just get that. That's more reasonable for me, and it's a little lesser, but I've still got all these great games to play, or these great experiences to have on this thing. I think the biggest thing just at VR in general right now is that it needs to start putting out killer games. Like, we've got great experiences, we just need killer games. And we've had a couple that you can kind of cherry pick and say yes, but overall, like, the VR market has yet to be the market where you're like, damn, I really should invest in this. Moving on. Topic number 3. Connor, your first topic of the day. Talk to me about what we got going on right here.
Well, we got an article from Axios regarding my favorite company in the world, Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard substantiated more than 24 misconduct incidents by employees last year. This is from Stephen Totillo from Axios Gaming. Activision Blizzard saw an uptick in employee reports of misconduct in late 2022, a rise the company attributes to greater scrutiny of the issues. The game maker's inaugural transparency report, released Wednesday, says the company received 114 reports of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation by its employees last year. Investigators substantiated 29 of them, some of which involved multiple employees. The company says it took over 36 corrective actions as a result of those incidents, including terminating workers for discriminatory language, physical assault, misgendering, unwanted advances, retaliation, and 2 cases of non-consensual touching. Even one instance of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation is one too many, the Activision board wrote in the report. We have robust procedures in place to resolve workplace concerns in a neutral and fair manner, and to take appropriate corrective action. The board called the increase in reported misconduct in 2022 a, quote, sign of a healthy reporting culture and effective training, unquote. The report also notes that Activision Blizzard has 15,545 full-time workers last year. Activision Blizzard's report follows multiple lawsuits and investigations into sexual misconduct at the company in recent years, a scandal that resulted in the ouster of some senior developers, a union drive at multiple Activision studios, and an employee petition to remove the company's CEO, who is Bobby Kotick. In late 2021, Activision agreed to set up an $18 million victims fund and 3 years of federal oversight while vowing to reform its culture. Through the fund, the company has paid hundreds of people to fix to 6 figures in settlements, according to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The transparency report was released following a request from stockholders. Last year, Activision Blizzard stockholders defied the board's recommendation and voted in favor of a shareholder proposal for the company to release a harassment report. The proposal called for a tally of misconduct reports at the game maker and an accounting of the time it took to resolve them and the amount of money spent settling misconduct claims. Microsoft released a sexual misconduct and gender discrimination transparency reports of its own last year, following similar pressure from its shareholders. We've had every possible form of investigation done, and we did not have a systemic issue with harassment ever. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick said in an interview with Variety published Wednesday.
And that interview is wild, because I caught some of the highlights from there where he's talking about every like evil CEO thing you could think of under the sun, and yeah, he kept saying that like we don't have issues, many things were greatly like misreported, and yeah, Bobby Kotick definitely showing his true colors in that latest interview. It was kind of sickening to read. So everyone go over to Variety and read that right there, and oh, jeez, man. It was just bad quote after bad quote in there. But, I mean, does this story surprise anyone?
It's kind of general consensus, at least in the video game fan sphere, that Bobby Kotick's a maggot. And this is not surprising at all. He's always come across as a corporate scumbag who's known about these issues that Blizzard Activision has had in the past, and like many other members of upper management, chose to do nothing about it and just kind of ignore it until it started festering and becoming a problem for him. And now they've had to make all these, preventions of these things from happening, which probably could have done this or prevented this from happening in the first place rather than reacting to it. And like you said, that interview shows that he clearly just doesn't really care. It's just an issue to making it's a roadblock to making more money. That's all he sees it as.
Yeah. 100%. And I, or maybe it was an avenue for him to like figure out how to sell Activision Blizzard off, a little quicker or whatever. But yeah, it's just such a messy situation, and it sucks that so many people are getting caught in the crossfire, and a lot of good people too. Kind of Funny Games did another interview with the Diablo 4 producer. I'm forgetting his name right now. And it was a really good interview in which they talked about the details of Diablo 4, the leading up to launch, the history of Diablo, and what they plan to do in the future. And it sounds like that team is being well managed over there in terms of the workflow, in terms of the crunching, and in terms of the sort of what we were talking about before, where like Redfall was clearly mismanaged. Diablo 4 as a product seems to be better managed, but it's just like, man, all this shitty stuff is happening to those people too. Like, and it just kind of sucks because like you want to support these artists who are putting out great product, but at the same time, you don't want to support these shitty ass people that work there and these shitty ass managers and CEOs that are making everybody's life kind of way harder than it needs to be. So, a lot of us get caught in the middle and we go, well, we don't know what to do here, and we can just kind of yell at them from afar. But like, Bobby Kotick's not on the internet. Like, let's be honest, he's off in his own thing playing golf with, the Donald Trumps of the world or some shit, And it's just like, man, I really wish like people would just be good to each other. It's not hard to be nice. It's really not. In fact, it takes more energy to be selfish and mean and hateful.
I should mention, as we haven't really talked about it much on this podcast beyond the initial reporting of it, but there was an Blizzard employee named Carrie Moynihan, hopefully I'm saying that right, who killed herself, apparently as a result of the sexual harassment that she faced at Activision Blizzard. So all of these things that Bobby Kotick says to try and, redirect blame or deny blame, always remember that this thing was caused by people like him. And they shouldn't be just forgiven because they've now taken some steps to make it look like they're doing better when they only do it after they're caught. It's in the corporate world, you're only doing that because that's
and they're not even taking great steps. Like it's all just like optics. That's all it is so they can say that they've taken steps, but they haven't taken any actual steps. God,
maybe who knows? Maybe we won't have to hear about him much longer.
Fingers crossed. Speaking of not having to hear about someone for much longer, Connor, your second topic of the day and your second penny of the day and our final topic. Go ahead.
This is from VGC, Video Game Chronicle, as some of you know, from Chris Scullion. Yuji Naka could be sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for insider trading. The developer could also be fined $1.2 million, but his defense wants to reduce this. Sonic the Hedgehog co-creator Yuji Naka faces a prison sentence of 2.5 years and a fine of over $1.2 million for his part in an insider trading scheme at Square Enix. Abima Times reported that at the Tokyo District Court on Thursday, prosecutors demanded that Naka serve a prison term of 2 years and 6 months. The prosecutor's office also ordered a fine of 2.5 million yen, which is about $17,800, and a supplementary penalty of 170 million yen, going to about $1.21 million, claiming Naka, quote, showed no signs of remorse. His defense has requested that the fine be reduced and the sentence be suspended. A final decision is expected to be made on July 7th. Naka was charged with violating Japan's Financial Instruments and Exchange Act by illegally buying shares based on insider information. He pled guilty to charges in March, saying that there was, quote, no doubt he was guilty in taking part in the insider trading scheme. After his arrest in November 2022, it was alleged that Naka, who was working on Balan Wonderland for Square Enix at the time, was made aware that Japanese developer Aiming was working on a new Dragon Quest mobile game called Dragon Quest Tact before it was officially announced. He then reportedly bought 10,000 shares of Aiming stock for around 2.8 million yen, $20,000, with the intention of selling them once the game was announced and Aiming stock value had increased. Naka was arrested for a second time in November relating to allegations that he carried out similar insider trading after learning confidential information that Square was planning to make Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier with mobile developer A-Team Entertainment. It was claimed that Naka accessed a website containing materials and minutes of investment meetings and learned of the existence of the joint development of the new Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games. Then, armed with this knowledge, it's claimed he bought 130,000 shares and earned a profit of over 20 million yen, $146,000, upon their sale. TBS Newsdig quoted Naka in March saying, quote, "There is no doubt that I found out about the games before they were made public and bought shares in them," end quote.
Yo, my guy said, "Fuck y'all, I'm balling out here, dog." Like, yes, yeah, I did these things, absolutely. Oh man, and I'm gonna do it again and again and again. What's 2.5 years, man? I'm making millions out here.
You know, I think I'm very much in agreement with some of the people that I've seen on Twitter that it's very unfortunate that we're never going to see Balan Wonderland 2. Most likely not. And not to mention, this is the thing that no one else has been talking about, and I'm going to break the news first.
Oh yeah, you're breaking the news here. This is
I am breaking the news. Yeah. Do you guys really think that this is a coincidence? The co-creator of Sonic the Hedgehog is immoral? And now I'm not saying that Sonic himself is immoral because he's a video game character. All I'm saying is that the IP itself is immoral because it's made by an immoral person. And I urge everybody to talk about how bad, how immoral Sonic the Hedgehog as a franchise is, and how terrible it is. Not just in regards to its games, but also its core management team, its creator team, like Yuji Naka. But some people aren't ready for that conversation, Tavin. You know it. Someone like Phil Shoemaker, a friend of the podcast, a host of the podcast.
Is he in the chat right now? Is that why he went on this fucking rant? No, he's not.
No, he's probably not, but he should be. He's made aware of
a madman. That's all that's happening. You're just a madman. Okay, great.
Many madmen have been considered madmen during their times, but are now considered geniuses. Leonardo da Vinci, Alexander Poe. Alexander Poe. That's not his name at all.
And you think you're in the same league as these men just because you hate Sonic?
Oh, no. I'm not saying I'm in the same league. I'm just saying that if you're saying that I'm a madman for this take, it's not exactly proof that I'm insane. I could be right. No, I'm not claiming to be a legend. I never will be. I don't believe. I never. No. You think I'm going to go into some kind of spiel about how I actually am, and this is me being humble? I am not a legend. I'm just right. That's all that this is. I'm right. That's all there is to it.
What the fuck? All right.
Yep.
All right. That was funny.
Thank you. It's not funny, Tam. This is serious.
This is very serious. Very, very serious. Okay. All right. But back to the story. Home Dude got caught, using insider information to make some money. Hey, you can't do that. That's illegal. Don't do that.
Though it happens all the time.
Or at least don't be so obvious about it. Like, Jesus Christ, my man. And then homie, I can at least appreciate that homie got caught and he was like, yeah, I did that shit.
Right. Usually people try to weasel the way out of it and say, no, I'm not. Like one notable one, sorry for bringing American politics into it, but Nancy Pelosi, she works in the government. Her husband has been, accused of doing insider trading because she gets information on that kind of stuff. And there's lots of evidence. Trading. Sorry. And, not very often are they just so blatant with admitting, yeah, I'm doing insider trading. Guilty. I did it. And it's the balls to still be like, please, can we not pay $1.2 million, please? Can we get that lowered a little bit after admitting that you did do insider trading?
You shouldn't have that money, bro. It's not you were cheating. You were playing outside of the the agreed terms. Oh man, this is great. But probably good riddance. This guy should probably go. So it's probably a good thing that he's gone.
I like the photo they chose him just in this large top hat in this article.
That's the best part. It's just this guy. What a fucking dork. What a nerd. What a fucking basement dwelling loser. It
is. Let's be honest. When someone's guilty of insider trading, they're going to more often than not look like this, as opposed to being like a hardened looking criminal.
Bunch of fucking losers.
Exactly. They spend their entire day in an office What are they going to look like? Well, this guy. Oh, well.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the news this week on the Two Penny Gamescast. But don't go anywhere, because we are about to jump into our review for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. That's right, it's the return of the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club, in which we play a game in the background of a year, and then we come back and we review it and rank it amongst all the other ones we play. We're going to bring Phil in here right now. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello again for the second time in the same show.
Yeah, the same show. Well, it breaks out, Connor. Remember, we'll get to that in a second. And say hello to the people, Phil, Shoemaker.
Hello. I am a little sunburned.
Just a little bit. Just a little sunburn. Gentlemen, today we are reviewing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on this right here, the Two Penny Game Club, which is your monthly video game book club in which me, Connor, and Phil, we all let the big, giant, great wheel of games decide what we play throughout the month. We play that video game in the background, and then we come to you at the beginning of each new month, and we review that game for you, and then rank it amongst the other games in a quest to decide the greatest games of all time. Now, this last time was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Quick facts on Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. It initially released on February 13th, 2014 on the Wii U. We all played the Nintendo Switch version. As of March 2019, the title has sold over 2.25 million units worldwide on the Switch, including 290,000 copies in Japan. In 2022, CESA Games white papers revealed that Nintendo Switch version had sold 4.12 million units as of December 2021. And on the Wii U, which is the score I'm going to pull for this, the Metacritic is at an 83. The Switch version was at an 86. And so, ladies and gentlemen,
Now, plus 3 copies sold as of May 1st of 2023.
Now, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Phil, you are our platforming guy. Your background is heavy on the platformers. Me and Connor's background, either more diverse or just play around with different genres entirely. So I'm going to go ahead and have you start us off. What did you think of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze?
Yeah, so I played platformers pretty much my entire life. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, it's a pretty good time. It's a really decent time. Not exactly. I'm more like a. You know what? I don't know why this didn't grab me as much as it did. I feel like it should have, because I really like the satisfaction of going around and collecting all the different things and filling out that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Filling out that list of all the levels that have like the 100% completion. I'm a completionist. I love that feeling of having everything like a checklist all checked off. I thought it was a good time. I didn't have a great time with it. Maybe that's just because I was so desperately wanting to play other games, namely Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Granted, I did most of my playtime before Tears of the Kingdom came out, but once it did, this game went on the back burner hardcore. Like, it was very hard for me to get back to it. But when I did, it was still fun. I had a good time. I, of course, played Funky Kong, which, as we've discussed on Piggy Bank, apparently is like the easy mode, quote unquote. I still had a great time with it. Funky Kong is probably one of my, just because he's so goofy, probably one of my favorite characters in like the Donkey Kong universe, or like Mario, all that stuff. I love whenever they, like, there's that whole meme when the Mario movie came out saying that, oh, Funky Kong's not in it, but he should be, and they're quote unquote boycotting the Mario movie because Funky Kong's not in it. But anyway. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was a great time. I like it. Also, for me personally, I don't fit into that platformer player where like people hate water levels. I fucking love the underwater levels in this game. I love like floating through, doing all like the spin dashy stuff. I loved it. I also thought like it was beautiful to look at, and the soundtrack that went with the water levels was very, very good. I love how the soundtrack differentiates depending on like what your environment is. I loved that in this fire level on screen, it's very bombastic and very like, I love it. But then we get to underwater and it's a lot more peaceful, a lot more like laid back, like in a different world. I kind of think back to the donkey video that he made on Tropical Freeze, and it's a really good game. I did a lot of it. I think most of the time I was just playing before bed, just kind of laying back and with my Switch in front of me. I do kind of wish, it does make me wish that I had played it when it first came out, because I know that it would have been a great like travel game, you know, because I did a lot of traveling in the car and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the boss fights a lot. I thought that those, for the most part, they were pretty fun. I didn't really like the pufferfish boss. That's probably the only one that I really didn't like. I think my favorite was probably, I like the owl boss, and I also liked the three monkey, like the monkey ninja guys. I thought they were fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the feeling of momentum that this game gives you. Like whenever you're on like a decent roll, you can kind of just run through everything. I didn't really do my usual thing, like I was talking about earlier about like completing it. I was kind of just trying to rush through this game, just because I was so desperately trying to get back to Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, I would highly recommend that if you haven't played this game. I think if you'll enter and you like platformers, absolutely spend the ridiculous amount of money that is $60 that Nintendo never puts on sale. But it's a good game, and I think for some people it might be worth the price point. For me personally, I don't know if it necessarily was. But you know, if you like Donkey Kong and you like Donkey Kong Country, have a good time. Play the game.
There we go. Connor, I'm going to jump to you.
Yes, well, it is not worth $60. I would argue it's not even worth $40. Now that makes it seem like, okay,
about that.
This is like a $20 game, a $20 bin game. It's on sale that you should buy. That's not to say it's bad. It's not bad at all. It's not unfun. It's just, in a world where there's so many video games out today, there's so many ones that are you spent way better of time playing. Not only just non-platformers, but platformers as well. Because I should preface this by saying, unlike Phil, who is a big platform player, I am not. I don't hate platformers. I don't, have a disdain for them like I do Sonic, which has been joked on many times about this channel, or enforced because I hate Sonic. But
enforced.
There's it runs like your typical platformer. I played the game through as Funky Kong. It's the easier way to play the game. As opposed to playing as Donkey Kong, who has his other Kongs helping him out with giving him special abilities, which I played a little bit of, and can clearly tell you it is a lot harder than playing as Funky Kong, but not substantially harder. I contradicted myself. It's harder. To Phil's point earlier, I didn't mind the underwater levels, but that's probably because Funky Kong can breathe underwater. And the way Donkey Kong plays is you have to take bubbles and breathe them in to extend your breath meter, which in this game I did not have to do. Which
just
made
like Sonic.
Exactly, right? But that made it a lot more enjoyable, not having to focus on a function that frankly doesn't really need to be there, because for the most part this game is it plays like your typical platformer. You run and then you jump on the enemies. You can pick up enemies sometimes if you jump on them and they fall on their back and go Wah! And it allows you to traverse the map easier as well. You move through the maps pretty quickly and efficiently, which I find is kind of the more fun way to play platformers, ones that are very fast-paced. And this could get like that at certain points, but for the most part, it plays at a pretty moderate pace. Though there are segments where you just blind through certain segments. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more accurate with your jumping. Vines obviously swinging around that you have to grab onto unless you fall to your death. Though it does have interesting mechanics in play that allow you to kind of curb this. Balloons that either, of course, give you your lives, which are represented by red balloons, or there's green balloons, I believe, prevented you from falling to death, or at least 3 times per balloon that you would buy at the stores that are located around the maps. Because you would go and, it's typical Mario overworld stuff. You would go from, here's this, you go to the world it's in the jungle, and then you have 1, 2, and 2, 2, or whatever the naming convention was for each level. So it really is just kind of came to me as a bog standard platformer that didn't really do anything to stand out, but had good level design. The music was catchy and nice and fun. Certain levels had nice stylistic elements to it, such as the ones that make you black and white because you're you're silhouetted. It's probably the better way to say it. It's a platformer, so of course it's a pretty simple story of trying to take down the guy who's pushed you out of your home. The bosses were relatively fun. I'm in agreement with Phil once again. The pufferfish was probably the least favorite boss just because it really was a lot slower paced and took longer to beat. So if you died, I only died once, but I was like, oh, I gotta go through this entire boss fight again. That wasn't even that entertaining to begin with. Though, of course, we had some that were very fun, like the final boss, and notably the 3 monkeys that are doing their monkey stuff, messing with you. It's really just, if you played a platformer, you're not really going to be surprised by anything this game throws at you. And, it was an enjoyable time, but one that I think can be spent doing other things. Not even just in their own video games, but just in life. There's more, way more valuable things you could be spending your time with than playing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, they don't really reinvent the wheel in this game.
They do not.
And that's where I'm at. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Yeah, this game's good. Like it's just like objectively good. It's well made. It's well polished. The level designs are solid. The music's good. I think the boss fights are actually the highlight of the game. It's just that it just never really felt inspired to me. Like there's not a single level that I can think of that I go, oh yeah, man, remember that level? That was great. I zoomed through that game and I got to the end of it and I went, all right, yeah, I had a solid time, but just not something that I find super memorable. I did play as Donkey Kong the entire way through. So I was playing around with the different Kong mechanics, which were really cool and really fun and gave you a bit of player agency on how you wanted to tackle each level in terms of like the bonus ability that the extra Kongs gave you. Diddy extending your jump, Dixie giving you a double jump, and Cranky giving you sort of a pogo stick effect. Each has their pros and cons, and each are useful in different ways. My favorite was probably Dixie Kong or maybe Cranky Kong. Diddy Kong had the least amount of like use for me, but there were still moments where I was like, no, he works pretty well here as well. Yeah, the boss fights I think are the best part of this game. I really enjoyed the owl one. There's not really any of them that I didn't enjoy except the final boss. I didn't like the final boss at all. I found him very frustrating and very annoying, and really left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth at the end of my playthrough. But overall, do I think it's worth like $60? I don't know about that in today's day and age, but I definitely think it's worth time and money if you have an interest in platformers. If you're sort of more of a if you're more flirtatious with platformers as a genre as I am, where like I like platformers but they're not something I reach to that often, I think this game is fun and entertaining, but maybe just worth a rental or something, not necessarily something that you need to like go out and buy like immediately. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a must-play game, but it's not a bad game, and if it's something that like really scratches your itch for platforming, I think, or if you have an itch for a platformer, I think this one will more than suffice. All of its little collectathon mechanics are great, and it's funny, Connor, that you mentioned like the other balloons or just the general like Funky Kong. Was it Funky Kong's shop?
Funky Kong, yep.
Yeah. I did not find any of that useful for me. To me, it was just, all right, just load up on lives and just kind of brute force your way through this game. Because I didn't think the blue balloon to save you from underwater. Yeah, you have to like find bubbles to breathe for Donkey Kong, but it's really not that big of a thing. Like his breath lasts a long time. The vehicle levels I found entertaining. But
I really like the minecart level.
As you see, to me, as soon as the vehicle levels got difficult, or as soon as it took me more than like 3 tries to get through it, I got annoyed. But they're great spectacle, they're cool fun, and I do think they switch up the gameplay in interesting ways. And I like whenever they came on, I was never like, ugh, I don't like this. I was always like, oh, okay, one of these. Underwater levels didn't care for. trying to think of anything else in here overall. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a good game. It's just not a very impactful one.
You know, I must say the better way to play it is Funky Kong, because it's just the Kong powers, they were nice. You know, the ones that I didn't get to do Cranky Kong. He was the only one that I never played enough to unlock, because after playing it for the first time, I really had no interest in putting any more than I had to, because it's just not worth it. But you know, with Funky Kong, like I said, you skirt around the whole bubble system of breathing underwater, which I think makes the underwater joy levels a lot more enjoyable. To the point where I think if they do any more Donkey Kong games, that should just be the standard, just not having to even think about that, because it's just like. It's
I'll be honest. Like the breathing underwater really is not a thing you have to really worry about that much. It was. It was over like every once in a while I'd be like, oh, I need a bubble, but like overall, like it wasn't a big deal.
Which is exactly kind of my point. It's just unnecessary. It doesn't add anything to the game. It doesn't take anything away. It's just a roadblock to prevent you from going through the levels a lot more smoothly, which isn't a problem the game has, because it's like I said, it's a platformer, which is to say it's simplistic and fun, but it just makes you go like, okay, yeah, I'm playing a different kind of Mario game. Oh, look, I'm playing as Donkey Kong, though. It's so weird. It's different. It's quirky.
I will also agree with you, Connor. The silhouette levels are awesome.
Yeah, they are nice.
Those were highlights for me as well. But I mean, like overall, like I don't know if I have a lot of critiques for the game. Like, it serves its purpose. It functions. I just don't think it's just not exciting.
Yeah.
It didn't like knock my socks off or like blow me away, you know?
Not that it necessarily had to, but
right.
like every time I went to pick up the controller, I was never like, oh yeah, I can't, like I'm excited to get back to it. I guess like I just didn't have like a lot of fun. Like I had an appeasable time, but it just wasn't an exciting time. Like I'm having a more exciting time like replaying Power Wash Simulator for the third time, you know?
Yeah, I think what's kind of sad is, and I wish I didn't feel this way about it, if we weren't doing it for this podcast, I don't know if I would have ever played it.
I certainly wouldn't have finished it if I did start playing it.
Yeah.
It would have been something I kind of dropped.
And
of course, I would
that,
once again never spend $60 on it.
That's another element of it is that, games like these with the collectathon elements in which you have to, get the Kong letters or, find all the coins or all this. Mm-hmm. Inherently, like you would want to go, oh yeah, let me go do all of that. And like if you get to the end of a level and you didn't complete it or whatever, you go, oh, let me replay it then. Let me go find those things. And not once did I ever want to do that. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like, so
maybe it's like there's like just it doesn't feel like there's that much of a reward, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's no carrot on the stick that's like, oh, if you do this, then this will happen. You know, there's none of that. And I think that's the only thing that I would like that I think would improve the experience for me.
I tend to agree with you on that. And it's even like, man, like you're collecting bananas to get lives. Okay, cool. Basic platformer logic. That makes sense. And then it's like, get the coins to go spend in the shop. And I'm like, okay, but the items in the shop aren't useful. Like, I just never need them. And, like, Connor, I'm glad you even figured out how to get the balloons to work, because I bought the balloons and never got them to work. Like, I was just
you have to equip them.
Equip them? Where do you, is it like just in the pause menu or something?
Yeah.
On the
beginning of the mission, at the beginning of the mission and in the pause mission, which you can do whenever, which is kind of strange. It's like, you'd think they would make it to where you have to, like, lock it in at the beginning and then, use the resources as you go through the map, but they were just like, yeah, just use them whenever. Screw it. Who cares, right? Do what you want.
That's like some Sonic and the Black Knight shit.
Sonic, God. Sonic's the underlying theme of today's podcast episode, huh?
I'm just saying, like, the way that you say you have to equip stuff, like that there's like almost like loadouts you have to equip in Sonic and the Black Knight. And it's like you get certain abilities that get added on to like this, or like it was the same in Sonic and the Secret Rings too.
Yeah. I'll say I'm not a big fan of the 2.5D art style that a lot of the platformers do nowadays. Like I much prefer pixel art, or I much prefer just like regular 2D art.
Well,
But I think this is one of the better examples of how it can be done, with the way that they do play with camera and the way that they do play with perspective in certain moments. And you have like almost like set piece moments, like blasting through barrels or running away from monsters, or even fighting bosses in some moments. Like it's really like they take full advantage of perspective and of art style here, which, and again, I think the game looks great. I think the game looks fantastic. There's a lot of really great detail. They do a good job of motivating the challenges of the levels. For example, the one on screen right now is like, all right, we want something to come in and drop in and hit the player if they're moving too slow. How do we do that? Oh, it's a tree getting chopped down by the use of an explosive and something like that. And there's always something like that to kind of like motivate the obstacle, which is appreciated, as opposed to just like having the obstacle come in.
Sure.
So like visually the game is great to look at and look through. And I think Donkey Kong himself does play well. Like, I don't know, I kind of expected him to play a little heavier, but like as I got acclimated to the game, I was like, oh no, I'm glad he plays this way. And it was never like, I always knew what I wanted to do, and when I screwed up, I knew why I screwed up. Which, you know, is a key testament. And, you know, I never felt cheap. Like, I never felt like there was a cheap level outside of that final boss. I never felt like, oh yeah, I see it now with the inventory. Okay. I never felt like, the game had cheated me out of a life or out of an attempt. I felt like the checkpoints were usually pretty well placed and well paced, but yeah, it's just there was just nothing like super exciting about this game. So it either needed to have more dynamic level design, or it needed a better carrot on the stick, like Phil was talking about, or some kind of narrative reasoning or narrative hook to get me pulled in here. Or maybe level design that had more emphasis on replayability, because yeah, every single level I got to the end and I was like, all right, done with that, moving on. Like there was not a single level that was like, oh yeah, let me replay that. That was a lot of fun.
A roadblock in this game club that we have been creating for ourselves.
A roadblock, you'd say?
Bit of a harsh word. I'm being too harsh.
Yeah, I mean,
just another number on the game club.
Yeah,
I mean, this was more fun than other games we've played.
Sure. I just don't know. I don't know where I'm placing this is the thing.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into that conversation then. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, here on the Game Club, we rank we review and also rank every game that we've ever played on the show against each other. The list is as follows. Number 12, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 11, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Number 10, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 9, Resident Evil 4. Number 8, Portal. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Chrono Trigger. Number 5, Dishonored. Number 4, Portal 2. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
I'd like to apologize for all the yawning I've been doing in this. I was at a barbecue and did a lot of swimming and was out in the sun for a while. So
it's a tired boy. He wasted all his energy. So I think, you guys gotta... if we're starting the bidding off here, when I was done playing the game, I knew it was gonna be near the bottom of the list. Yeah. And then it was just a matter of like where. I think Resident Evil 4, clearly much more fun, much more entertaining game, much more interesting game from just level design and the different sequences, the different scenarios that they put you in, just makes Resident Evil 4 just so much more entertaining and more fun for me. And so that wasn't even a question. My question was, Batman, Uncharted, Halo, where does Donkey Kong land here? At first, I was thinking above all three, And then as time went on, and I was able to reflect a little more, because I finished this game first, and I finished it quite early. And as I've reflected more on it, it has so little impact, so little presence in my mind that the other three games, wane on. So I think Halo overall, even though I have a lot of like game design critiques for the first Halo game, I think it's just more fun and more memorable. There are the tank levels or the warthog level or fighting through the Pillar of Autumn for the first time, or going on a Covenant ship for the first time, or the first time you see the Flood. All these moments stick out in my mind. And in Donkey Kong, the boss fights stick out a little bit, but I already don't remember how each boss fight plays. I know I liked the owl. I know I liked the monkeys. Who was the first boss? I don't even remember who the first boss was.
It was a seal.
That's right. I remember that now. Okay.
Seal
Thank
and
you for that.
half-pipe, yeah.
So I think it goes there. Or I think it goes below Halo. And then I read against Uncharted. And I think the characters and the story are more fun and entertaining and engaging, and just a third-person a third-person action adventure works for me more than a platformer does. And even though Uncharted is bare bones version of that, I think I found it more entertaining than this. And then now I have to sit here and debate against Arkham Asylum. And from there, it's just a matter of which would I'd rather replay. And I think, honestly, I'd rather replay Batman Arkham Asylum. I think its style is more entertaining. Its voice acting carries its narrative. And just the general beat-em-up gameplay of that is more entertaining to me than anything that happened in this game. Even though I still think Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a good game, worthy of playing, you don't need to rush out. And I think there's a plethora of platforming examples that are better, that are more engaging than this. So for me, after some
and for
time,
a cheaper price point,
for a cheaper price point, exactly. Shout out Celeste. For me, at this time, in this moment, right now, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is the bottom of the list for me at number 13.
And I have to wholeheartedly agree with you, Tavin. I was kind of running through the same thing where maybe I was thinking maybe higher than like the new number 11.
Yeah.
Maybe like higher than Uncharted and Arkham Asylum. But then I think back kind of like what you were talking about with just the character of like Nathan Drake and how he kind of it being his debut of onto his franchise there, and while I'm not the biggest fan of Uncharted 1 in comparison to the other games, I think it's an overall more fun time than I had with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And then I already have to disagree. I personally, Arkham Asylum needs, for me, I think Uncharted should be at the bottom of the list, and Arkham Asylum needs to be 11. So it has to be, for me, Arkham Asylum is better than Tropical Freeze. So I have to agree that Tropical Freeze goes to the bottom.
Yeah. And I think, wipe my knowledge of every franchise. Halo, Uncharted, Arkham Asylum, Tropical Freeze here. I would reach for every other franchise for a sequel before I would want to play a sequel to this game.
Yeah.
And that's just where I go. Connor, where are you at with this this list here?
Well, I notoriously disliked my time with Batman Arkham Asylum. Mm-hmm. This one I did not dislike my time. And Uncharted, it was never going above Halo. Never. I can never do that. It'd be an insult to Halo itself. But it was really debate, okay, should it go below or above Uncharted? Because I can't put it below Batman Arkham Asylum. I just can't. I understand it not like on your guys' list. Totally get it. It makes sense being below that game. But I personally really did not like Arkham Asylum. But Uncharted was like, okay, I had a lot of moments in Uncharted where I was like, okay, this sucks. This is not well designed at all. But it wasn't the entire game. I had a lot of moments where I was kind of fun, and for both games, I felt a fatigue when I was coming at the end. I was like, okay, I just want to get done with this game, be over with it. And even though, like I said, the pitfalls were definitely steeper in Uncharted, the first Uncharted, I could see myself going back to play it more than I could Donkey Kong. I don't want to touch this game again. Not to mention, it stole $60 from me.
Such a hard ass.
It's
You're
$60.
such a hard ass.
$60 for this? Like, it's not worth $40 even. Not even. Not
No, it's worth 40.
I would pay 40 for this.
I would pay 40.
I paid for the level of game that it was. Arkham Asylum, even though I didn't like it, it makes sense to price that higher than this, and yet it wasn't. So, but more focus on the fact that it was just a monotone experience all the way through. At least Uncharted actually gave me some kind of enjoyment where I was like, wow, this is great. Or at certain moments, and the characters are also very likable. I'm going to have to put this underneath Uncharted, above Batman at the number 11 spot.
Number 12.
It would be number 12.
Is what you would vote for.
That's how numbers go, yeah.
Yeah. Which, voting it would put it at the new bottom of the list at number 13, which honestly shocks the hell out of me because I was not expecting that going into this review.
I was thinking it was going to be like towards the middle.
Really?
So
damn.
I mean, you voted it at the bottom.
No. I'm saying I was expecting like going into playing the game. I was like, because I've heard so many great things about it.
Yeah, I've heard
going into it. Yeah, like I thought it was gonna go towards, I don't know, like anywhere between like 6 and 9. I don't know. Yeah,
to me, it's like the list starts getting really interesting above Portal. From Resident Evil, Chrono Trigger, and up, I think those are like awesome games. And maybe even Resident Evil 4 and Portal 1 itself. But everything below Resident Evil 4 specifically, I'm like, these games are cool. These games are nice. These games are fun. But like, even if you add in the historical context of each game, all three, Halo, Uncharted, Arkham Asylum, did more for their respective genres than I think Tropical Freeze does for platforming. And I mean, like, 2014, like, I knew where platformers were at in 2014. Like, this game was okay. Like, this game was good. Like, if you like platformers, I'm sure you enjoyed it. But yeah, it just wasn't that interesting, I don't think. So, the new list goes number 13. Yeah. Oh, I don't have to change any of these numbers around. Great. Number 13, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 12, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 11, Uncharted 1. Number 10, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 9, Resident Evil 4. Number 8, Portal. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Chrono Trigger. Number 5, Dishonored. Number 4, Portal 2. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Now, gentlemen.
That is the Game Club list.
Now, oh, this is the wrong wheel. Here we go. Now it's time.
Oh boy!
For one of the most, and me and Connor were having a conversation off mic about this. Exciting. This is one of my favorite shows that we do. I really like just going around playing random ass games, coming in, talking about it, ranking it, and then figuring out a new one. That all of this is exciting for me. So,
absolutely,
gentlemen, I went through and I went back last episode and I found out what we had knocked out. So we had knocked out Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which goes into the list this month. We knocked out Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which goes into the list this month, and we knocked out Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Real quickly, are we able to see? I'm on Twitch right now, so I am seeing the wheel. But are we able to see it real time since it's still a little bit delayed? Is that something that's open as an option right now?
Oh, you want? It is not.
If not, it's fine.
It's fine.
So here we go. As always, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we each have the option to veto one game before we spin the wheel, just because we're like, I don't feel like playing that this month or whatever. And so, looking through the list, I'm looking through right now. I probably should have decided this earlier. I'm gonna go through if anybody has their game for. Well, no, I'll leave that in. That's fine. Right now, I'm gonna lean off of, you know what? I'm gonna veto a Red Dead Redemption right now. I'm just not in the mood for a Rockstar game at this moment.
Okay.
Fair.
Connor, Phil, where are you guys at today?
Looking.
I'm thinking I'm gonna veto. It's tough.
It is. A lot of games in this list. 90.
There are.
94? 90. I forget. Does it?
I know what I want.
It doesn't.
Gonna
there are 94 games.
veto.
What are you thinking, Connor?
Just because I'm fine with the platformers right now. Rayman Legends.
That's fair. That's
Right.
fair.
Knock out the Rayman. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say.
which we back to back the genres Connor doesn't care for, being puzzle games and platformers.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, can we play like something fun,
True.
please?
True. I'm gonna veto.
I liked Portal.
I'm gonna veto Catherine. I don't really want to play Catherine right now.
Good, Phil. Good. Well, I want to play the game. Actually, wait, that's the one puzzle game I'd want to play.
Oh,
Like,
it's so good. I love Catherine so much.
It's good. It just I'm not in the mood.
Have you played it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we played it
on
for
Hype.
hype.
Mm-hmm. All those days ago.
Have you ever played?
Did we make an after the hype for that one, Phil? I think we did. Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
did
did.
because that was like one of your like first like reviews that I was like, oh man, you did great job, good job, Phil. Everybody go watch the after the hype Catherine review. It was real good.
See fledgling Phil become a good boy at
Good
reviews.
boy. So here we go, gentlemen. We're spinning the wheel. We're seeing what's happening. I'm very excited to see what we're going to be playing.
So
for this next
excited.
month.
I'm
It's
so
a busy
excited.
month, the month of June for video games and reviews. So keep an eye out for all the new stuff. Oh my god. Okay, gentlemen,
Tavin.
we will be playing Yakuza 0.
Yakuza 0. All right.
Okay. All right. Our first deep dive into the Yakuza franchise here. Has anyone here played a Yakuza game?
Never in my life.
You know, I started Yakuza 0, but I never completed it because it got added to the list. And now I'll have to pick it up.
Gotcha. I tried Yakuza 0 when it came out. I was not prepared for the type of game it is, but I think I am now. And then I played about 20 hours of Yakuza Like a Dragon. Different type of game, but same stylings and so forth. So I'm excited to dip back into that and experience Yakuza for the first time fully. So very exciting times, very exciting month. Catch us. Let me find the date for that. Let me see. Connor, remind me, what date does Final Fantasy 16 come out? It's the 22nd, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Okay. Which puts a conflict on here.
It does.
So
31 hours in length is what this game apparently is about.
yeah. So I'm gonna reach for, gentlemen. Here's the thing: is it's not fair to Connor to have him, because he's our lead reviewer for Final Fantasy 16. So we can't have him rush through it to get it done by the 25th. I was planning on having it being done on the Final Fantasy 16 on the 2nd. Which is now conflicting with the Yakuza 0 date. So we either all say, all right, we got to get through Yakuza 0 before the 25th, or we delay it a week and go the 9th. Is there anything early July that we need to review?
In July.
If anyone can pull up a list for me right now, early July that we need.
Not quite sure.
I think I would rather delay Yakuza a week.
In early July, it doesn't look like it. Let me take another look.
It doesn't seem like all July.
I mean, until
Something
Pikmin
interesting comes
on,
out
like,
in
the
July.
21st.
I mean,
What does?
Immortals of Avium.
Pikmin on 21st.
Yeah, we don't need a review for Immortals.
We have Guilt on July 6th. We have The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie on July 7th. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals on July 12th.
Okay.
Exo Primal July 14th. Immortals of Avium the 20th, and then Pikmin 4 the 21st.
Okay. So unless you guys would rather do this on the 25th of June, I vote we just delay the review a week and have it done on the 9th.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because especially if July's a light month, we can definitely, lose the week and still be okay for the first week of August.
Sure.
I think so. So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, join us on July 9th for our review of Yakuza 0. Play along with us and let us know what you thought of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Let us know what you think the state of the list is right now. It's already got some conflicts with all of us. All of us have problems with all of them. Join us on July 9th for Yakuza 0 and let us know what you feel about that. Until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
See ya.
Goodbye.